Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a beautiful princess named Snow White. She had skin as white as snow, lips as red as roses, and hair as black as ebony. Snow White lived in a grand castle with her stepmother, the queen, who was very vain and always wanted to be the fairest in the land. One day the queen asked her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." This made the queen furious, and she ordered her huntsman to take Snow White into the forest and kill her. The kind-hearted huntsman couldn't bring himself to harm Snow White, so he let her go deep into the forest. Lost and scared, Snow White stumbled upon a tiny cottage and decided to seek shelter there. Inside, she found 7 small beds and realized that this must be the home of 7 dwarfs. When the dwarfs returned home, they were surprised to find Snow White. She told them her story, and they welcomed her to stay with them. In return, Snow White took care of their home, keeping everything neat and tidy. Meanwhile, the queen discovered that Snow White was still alive and decided to take matters into her own hands. She disguised herself as an old woman and tricked Snow White into eating a poisoned apple. Snow White fell into a deep sleep, and the dwarfs thought she was gone forever. Heartbroken, the dwarfs crafted a beautiful glass coffin for Snow White and placed her inside. They mourned her loss and visited her every day, placing flowers by her side. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom heard of Snow White's beauty and the tragic tale of her fate. Determined to see her for himself, he rode to the dwarf's cottage and asked to see Snow White. Moved by his sincerity, the dwarfs allowed him to approach the glass coffin. As the prince gazed upon Snow White's peaceful face, he was captivated by her beauty. Unable to resist, he leaned forward and gently kissed her. To everyone's astonishment, Snow White's eyes fluttered open, and she awoke from her deep slumber. The prince and Snow White fell deeply in love and were soon married in a grand ceremony. The dwarfs, overjoyed at Snow White's awakening, danced and celebrated at the wedding feast. As for the queen, upon learning of Snow White's revival, she was consumed by rage and envy. But her wicked heart could not bear the weight of her evil deeds, and she met a fitting end. Snow White and her prince ruled the kingdom wisely and with kindness, and their love story became legend, a tale of true love conquering all and the power of goodness prevailing over evil.